Well, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Chef Dr. Robert Dell'Amore. I'm CEO and founder of The Power of Food Productions. I've been doing cooking classes for teens, tweens, children, adults for over 15 years. I've been working with the lovely Susan Roberts at Elwood Library for many years now. Love working with Susan. Happy to be here with Eric assisting me on the other end. I want to make sure everybody can hear me. We're going live from my house and we're going to do delicious chicken tostadas. This is a recipe I've been teaching for about a year now. I came upon it. I actually had a chicken tostadas and I absolutely loved it and said I have to learn how to make it. And I'm going to teach you a couple of cool knife skills and ways of cooking the chicken and cutting the chicken that can be used many different ways. And that's a bonus to this recipe. But what's really great about this recipe for the summer is it's so easy, so simple, but it's really great because it features the freshness, the crunchiness of these vegetables, and it's just a great dish all around. Okay, chicken tostadas. Tostadas means toasted. So what we have here as a base for our meal is a tostada shell. And think of this as an extra crunchy taco shell. And you can purchase these in most of the supermarkets now. One of the first classes I did was for a class of families from Central America and Mexico who happened to make this tostada shell once a week from scratch. And they really loved my tostadas, so I continued doing the program. Again, these shells are extra crunchy. If you get any in the package that are broken, what you do is you eat them as a chip. They're really good. Great for dipping. Okay, so I'm going to place two on my plate. And this is how I like to serve it. And I'm just going to run around to the other side of the camera and make sure we're rolling all good, and then I'll be right back, okay? Do you mind? Give me 1 second, please. Thank you. Okay, so it looks like we're rolling. Okay, so again, about $2.50 for a package of these, and you're going to love these. If you pick them up, they're absolutely delicious. I love to have them as a chip or just a little crunch to any meal. They're delicious. Tostada shells. This is the manufacturer Guerrero. Okay, so let's get started with our chicken. Now, what I prepared for us, I have to get a glove, excuse me 1 second. Okay, what I prepared for us is my chicken thighs, which I have here with all the superficial fat removed and the skin. And what I want to show you is a really cool way to process this thigh. Now, if we're going to boil this in some water with half an onion, and I can simply place the whole thigh in there with the skin on or with it off. Much healthier without the skin and the extraneous fat. Much less cholesterol, less saturated fat. So again, we can place the whole thigh in there. Takes a little bit longer to cook. I'm going to show you how to cook it super fast. And also, by deboning the thigh, which I'm going to teach you right now and demonstrate for you, you can grill it, you can skewer it, you can saute it in the pan, and it cooks in a fraction of the time as opposed to a thigh with the bone in. So what I do is I place the thigh down on the cutting board, and what I want you to see, this would be the skin side down. You have two knuckles here, one right here, and then another one on the other side that's been sheared through, okay? That side with the sheared knuckle is going to come facing me, and then I'm going to place my thumb up against that flattened knuckle. Now with a gloved hand, I'm going to remove the bone with one hand. Just by simply rubbing my fingers on either side of the bone, and the bone pops right out. Okay, and there's no meat on this, and I'm not using my knife, I'm not dulling the knife. Just by sliding the fingers on either side of the bone, the meat comes right off. Then what I do is I place two fingers underneath like this. And now you can see the bone is separated from all the meat. And then what I do is I like to take my thumb and just push up like so. And the thigh meat comes right off the bone. Okay, and I take my knife and I just cut around the cartilage, and this meat here is going to cook perfectly in my water, and that's going to be nice for any chicken stock or chicken soup, or I can eat this as well. Now what about this side here? Now what always happens when you remove the bone like this, the most tender part of the thigh, called the pearl or the oyster, it pops out on this side, and every thigh is exactly the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut that off just like this, and then again this is going to go in my, it's going to go in here, and I'm going to make a nice stock out of this as well. Now once I have the thigh deboned, then what I do is I take my finger, again the gloved hand is key. I take my finger, and by the way, I have no glove on this hand because this knife hand never touches the meat, ever. It's a great opportunity for cross-contamination, and also, of course, makes the knife handle slippery. We don't want to do that, so this knife never touches the meat. If we need two hands to remove the skin, which I did earlier, then we wash our hands afterwards, and then we pick up the knife. Okay. Now what I can do here is I can remove all of this fat and these veins, okay, which I really like to do for my guests. I like to make this, this is another benefit of deboning the thighs. You're going to remove all this fat. Now there's always a deep fat pocket here, and I'm going to show you how I like to remove it. I just take my finger on top of my blade, and now the blade is an extension of my finger, and I use the tip of the blade to just cut away at this fat, and it takes no time. Do you see this? Okay, I'm not giving that to my guests, I'm not serving that to my family, and I'm not eating that. Okay? Now, again, with my finger, I just check and look for any fat that I can remove. And then this is going to be grilled. Okay, this is delicious, marinated with some balsamic vinegar, fresh ginger, fresh garlic, and olive oil. 20 minutes, half an hour, and then this goes on the grill. Two sides, boom, boom, it's done. Or we could cut it in thirds like so. And this is how I like to cut it when I'm really in a rush. Okay? I'm going to grill this in a pan. Look how beautiful this meat is here with no fat. Or I could skewer this and make chicken skewers or kebabs. Okay? Now, all this meat is going to go in my pan, my pot here, with a half of onion, some salt, some pepper, and it's going to go right in the boiling water. Okay? Now, we're going to cook this through until it's 165 degrees. And this is going to go away, this glove now. Okay. Doing great. Okay. Now, I'm going to cover this when I'm heating it up so it cooks in half the time with the top on. Once it starts to boil and starts to cook, I can take it off, or I can lower the heat so it doesn't overflow. Okay? But this is the easiest way to cook chicken. With a little onion, a little salt, and you boil it through. Now the trick is not overcooking the meat. I like to use the thigh because it's easy, it's more forgiving than the white meat, the breast. You really have to worry about overcooking the breast when you boil it like this. What I've come up with is a great technique to prevent you from doing that, which is to undercook the chicken a little bit. And you can take it out and cut it through and see it's a little pink inside. That's what I want. Then I put it back and I'll cook it just another minute or two with the heat, with the gas on. Then I'll shut it off and again keep the top on, and that extra few minutes of the hot liquid will finish cooking the chicken and it'll stay nice and juicy. So you always want to be mindful of not overcooking the white meat chicken. The dark meat, you can overcook it as well, but it's much harder to do that. So I suggest the dark meat. Okay, now what I've done is I've prepared some chicken for us ahead of time. Now I want to show you what we're going to do with this. So what I have here are my pieces of dark meat, and I'm going to just simply take it like this on the cutting board, and then I'm going to take 2 forks and I'm just going to pull them apart. And it really doesn't get much easier than this. And if you don't want to pull them, you can dice them. You can dice the chicken if you like, but this is just a really nice way to prepare the chicken. It's much better than frying it. I think it's healthier than grilling it. I'm not grilling it all this summer. I'm really not interested in the high heat of the grill. It's been proven to be deleterious to our health by changing the cell chemistry of the meat when you cook it at high heat. So I'm staying away from the grill. But again, this can be prepared ahead of time and then refrigerated. You can make chicken salad out of this. I mean, just look at how beautiful this is. This is dark meat and it looks like white meat. Okay. So one fork holds it and the other fork shreds it. And this is 2 breasts, 2 thighs right here. The chicken of 2 thighs. Okay. And again, just pulling on a cutting board, and then whatever is not used, it's going in a Tupperware. And I'm going to have it with a salad, or I'm going to make chicken salad with this, or several different ways of serving this chicken salad. Okay. So again, this has been seasoned or perfumed with the half of an onion, some salt, some pepper, and now we're going to serve this up on our tostada. Okay? Look how beautiful this looks. Okay, I'm going to get this together. And what we need to do is finish preparing all of our ingredients. They're so simple. This recipe is so easy. Okay, we're going to take this meat over here. Now, traditionally, this is presented with iceberg lettuce, sliced very thinly. You could use iceberg lettuce. You can use romaine lettuce. I'm choosing to make it really, really healthy, and I'm using some organic kale. And this is how I have it in my refrigerator, wrapped in a paper towel to triple the life of the greens. When I'm ready to use it, I just simply take it like this, start from the top, and just pull down the rib and remove the kale flesh from the rib here, and this goes in the garbage. Okay? This is going to be dredged in some cold water to remove all of the sediment, taken out, shaken dry, and then air dry. Okay? So I've already done that with some kale here. I want to show you how I process this. Now, I'm not going to place a big piece of kale on my tostada with my chicken. Instead, I'm going to make little wisps of the kale. And you're going to do the same thing with the romaine lettuce. You're going to slice it very thinly, or the iceberg lettuce. But for tonight, I'm going to demonstrate what I do with the kale. And my trick is to take the kale in a bowl. It's been washed, dried. I'm going to take it in a bowl like so, and I'm going to place it on the cutting board like this. Okay? Now, maintaining pressure so it stays in a bowl allows me to cut it very thinly, very fine. It's called a chiffonade, and I love to process the kale like this. Again, this is just an option to the romaine or the iceberg lettuce. Iceberg is really good on this. You gotta try it. The romaine hearts are really good too. We did that last week with another class. Okay, so this technique of holding it together in a bowl under my fingers allows me to produce a nice thin chiffonade. Wisps of the kale. Your kids, your family, you won't even realize you're eating the kale. You've got to try this. Okay, we're going to take this here. It's going to go right here. Okay. Now, I like to add the color and crunch of cabbage, and also the important cancer-fighting benefits of the raw cabbage. I'm going to show you how I like to process it. It's not traditionally found in the tostada, but listen, the origins of the tostada was to use something with a crunch on the bottom instead of a taco shell, just a flat, extra crunchy shell with any leftovers you have in the refrigerator. So any vegetables you like to put on top of this, you could. Any meat or pork or chicken that you have left over, even a rotisserie chicken that's left over can be put on here as well. Let me show you what I do with this cabbage. I'm going to take 4 fingers in the back here, my thumb on top here, and I'm going to take my hand and move it from here. When I was removing the fat, I had my finger on top. Well, now I'm going to go like this. And this allows me to really slice very thinly, because there's no upper body weight now going through the knife. I'm just holding and caressing the blade here. Here is a lot of force, a lot of energy, okay, even here. But here, I'm just cradling this knife, and this allows me to shave very thinly. Look at how thin I can go here. You see, this allows me to slice very thinly. This is what we want with a nice thin slaw. And this is going to go, I'm going to just cut it across on a diagonal. And here is my delicious, crunchy, colorful, cancer-fighting red cabbage. And any of this that's extra, of course, is going to go in a salad. Okay, I'm going to place this right here. Okay. And lastly, we're going to use a little carrot here, but we're going to shred it. Okay, and I want to show you what I do here. I like to use a Tupperware top as a cutting board when I have small jobs like this, and this rim will catch any carrot or any of the vegetables that I'm cutting, especially if I'm cutting round vegetables like cherry tomatoes or olives, and the juice will be contained and the round objects will be contained with the rim. Pretty cool. So I'm going to take my carrot, and this is just such a nice way to present the carrot. You get the color, the crunch, but it's for those of you with dental issues, this is a great way to serve it. Simply take your box grater and shred the carrot, and you should be good. Okay. Okay, so I showed you a couple different knife techniques. I showed you how to debone the thigh with your one hand, with a gloved hand, taking two fingers and gliding them on either side of the bone, removing the meat from the bone, and then slipping your hand underneath, and then just getting your thumb underneath to pop the bone away from the meat. Pops right off. The oysters on one side, the rest of the meat on the other, and you just debone it. Okay, now I've got all my ingredients for my tostada. So let's do this. Okay. The other ingredient that's really integral are our black beans. Okay, you could use any bean you like. If you don't want to add beans, don't add beans. But this is such a fantastic source of fiber and protein. I love to push the beans in the diet. Almost every meal we're having beans. Again, a plant source of protein. Because of the fiber found in these beans, it makes you fuller longer. Okay, it keeps you satiated longer. You cannot go wrong. The most economical source of protein possible. And there's no saturated fat, no cholesterol. So during this pandemic, we have been stocking up on chickpeas, making homemade hummus, kidney beans, lentils, cannellini beans, and of course these black beans. Okay, so let's do this. It really doesn't get any easier than this. How to make the tostada. Okay. Watch this. We're going to take these like this. And we're going to take our chicken. Another point is that, important for me to mention is, traditionally refried beans are also added to this first. The first layering is refried beans. I love the fresh beans here. I'm not going with the refried. I don't want to purchase them, and I don't want to make them. I just love them like this. But if you want to add refried beans to this, you can. Now this chicken is going to go on top like this. And once you try this dish and you serve this to your family, they're going to be like, wow, this is so delicious, so fresh, so simple, but yet so delicious. And it's all about cooking the chicken perfectly. Okay? Not overcooking it is the key. And then forking it or dicing it, however you'd like. Okay? And I'm going to put just enough on to cover the circumference of the tostada shell. Okay? Now the next thing I'm going to add is my kale. So that's going to go here. Again, little wisps of kale. We're going to get a nice crunch here from the kale. Now the interesting thing about the kale and what makes it unique is romaine lettuce, spinach, iceberg lettuce do not hold up to the thin cutting, the chiffonade. They just wilt down to nothing. Spinach, romaine lettuce, you slice it very thin like that, it's just nothing. It's much better in a bigger piece, the romaine. This is a different animal. This is very fine and delightful. Okay? Now on top of this, I'm going to add some crunch and color of my red cabbage. I have some green cabbage here. I could use that as well, and so could you. So simple. Now we're going to add some carrots for color, beta carotene, vitamin A, vitamin D. These nutraceuticals in these vegetables make this a super healthy dish. We're going to really bump it up now by adding some beans to the top. Okay? And this is finger food. We're going to eat this like taco, but it's not folded over. It's not like a burrito. It's different. And lastly, I have my cheese. This is a mild cheddar that I have on hand, so I'm using it tonight. Traditionally, this is going to call for a queso fresco, which is a salty, crumbly type cheese, which is absolutely delicious. Queso fresco, fresh cheese. I like to cut it in little pizza. It comes in a round container, flat, it's beautiful. You cut it and then you just crumble it on top. But I want you to tell me that this is not beautiful and delicious. It's going to be crunchy, fresh, does not require any oil or vinegar. You're just getting the amazing combinations of the crunch of the cabbage with the carrots. You could add tomatoes to this. You could add olives to it if you'd like. The beans are another source of protein. I think you get a great bang for the buck with the beans, again, as a plant source of protein. This is eaten like this. You're going to just bite right into it. Okay? And this way you go through all the layers from the cheese down to the chicken on the bottom. Okay? This is my chicken tostadas recipe. It's short and sweet. I hope you enjoyed it. I did share with you a technique how to debone the thigh with one hand. You can use your knife if you'd like, but try that technique. The benefits of doing it with the hand, the gloved hand, is you get all the meat off the bone. It's wonderful. But don't throw away your bones. You're going to use those for stock when you boil the chicken. You can grill the chicken, you can saute it, you can roast it in the oven. Again, you can use this as a leftover dish. If you have any leftover chicken, that's going right on the tostada shell, and really just as long as it takes to prepare your ingredients, you're good to go. This also travels well too. This can go in a Tupperware, and as long as you keep it flat, when you get to your destination, you can serve this, and it's delicious. Fresh, easy, economical, including the beans here for a great source of protein and fiber. And I hope that you enjoyed this. If anyone has any comments or questions, I will entertain them now. But again, this is my chicken tostadas, live on Facebook. Chef Robert Dell'Amore with the Power of Food. I want to say thank you to Susan Roberts, thank you to Eric Schmid, all my patrons that have, my peeps at Elwood that are checking out this live program. Very importantly, we're going to put this up on the website. We're going to save this so you can direct friends or family to look it up and watch it. So please do that and take advantage of this great recipe. I know you'll enjoy it. From my family to yours, thank you. Buon appetito and stay safe. And I look forward to serving you live in the near future. But again, Elwood Library, thank you. Peace, and thank you again.